Testing at scale.
Testing a scale, trying to find useless synonyms. Good.
Exactly.
And Amiga, I see you also busy all day here together with Chris, who also had
Yes.
some great news earlier.
He did.
uh,
Amazing.
would you mind spoiling? What did he dare to do? Just I know it's a side, but I cannot.
Yeah. So Chris closed out our lightning keynotes and proposed to his very long-time girlfriend on stage.
On stage, on a keynote in front of everyone.
And then champagne came out for all the attendees in the keynote room.
Super emotive, and I saw tears,
Oh,
tears of
incredible.
joy, thankfully.
I didn't think anything was going to upstage how Star East ended with the goat, but it turns out it did with a proposal.
I think, I mean, in my vast experience of star events, which I have only been in two, that was the most emotive close for a keynote lightning.
The most I can remember, and I've done a few more than two.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how many have you been around? I know that it's been...
My first star was in 2015, and I keynoted Star West in 2017.
Okay. And since you are like every time...
Every time. I love Disneyland. What can I say? I love testing.
Yeah, I would say a little bit more testing than Disneyland, but at times it kind of changes. Personal.
Sometimes we do testing at Disneyland.
Oh,
like
yeah.
how good are they at checking fast passes? How thorough?
I
probing the rules.
Too hard at testing that, too much. I would say I overdid it. So that's what time to like.
I'm gonna say that too. I never did that. That'll be my official line. I never, ever, ever tried to test any of those rules for weak points.
Let's say I didn't do functional rules, performance tests. That was my thing. Let's see how many times can I write the same thing, or that didn't end well. Amiga Melissa, as well, I have seen you around here playing precisely here with Chris. What are you guys doing here next to us? What's the deal there?
Yeah, so the test lab is super fun. There's a couple different activities you can do. There is 4 different riddles / puzzles on the wall to solve, ranging from can you guess what's unique about this particular long number, to trying to figure out the next step in a series of clues, so those are one piece. And then there is a robot which is programmed with unknown algorithms, and you have to use colored cards to try to understand the algorithms that control the robot, so that you can then navigate the robot through a curvy maze.
Okay. Does that count as black box testing?
Yeah, it does. It does. There is a buggy website where you can write a good test report, and there's a prize for the most thorough, best test report. There is a spider puzzle I love and is the bane of my existence, that can only be solved one way, but there's many different possibilities. So you have to work out the algorithm for how to apply the puzzle, how to apply the spiders to get to the solution.
Wait. It can be solved only one way, but there are many...
There are many dead ends, but you can get quite far in solving before you hit the dead end.
Okay. Oh, wow. That sounds... can be frustrating.
Very frustrating. Many people get frustrated at the spider puzzle.
At times, that's the point. I have seen it in some of the... I mean, they are our neighbors here in this interview stage that you're having seeing all these days, and lots of fun, lots of tears, frustration. I mean, exaggerating.
Lots of frustration, but lot of aha moments too, when it clicks and you get the answer.
Yeah, the learning. So those are all the activities. Am I missing any?
There's also a dice puzzle that Chris does.
Do you know what's the deal with the dice? I was
I know what the deal. I know what the deal with the dice. The dice are, you have to figure out what the dice mean. There's a meaning to them. There are certain rolls have an output or have a point, and then you have to understand what the trick is.
Okay. Everything sounds super entertaining, and for everyone that cannot attend, I'm just thinking, let's see how can we virtualize some of those
live stream somebody trying to solve the spider puzzle.
Yeah.
Maybe live stream the robot. The robot is fun to watch.
Frustration live. No, I'm
Up
I'm
close
teasing.
and personal. We can really zoom in,
To see the cheer. No, no.
see the sweat.
No, the robot one that catches attention. As soon as I walk by, like, ooh, what's that?
Yes.
Uh,
And a bonus, the robot's puzzle and what the robot does is different at every star conference because it gets
Ah.
reprogrammed to do something new. So every time you see the robot, it is a new challenge.
No cheat codes, no way of getting prepared for this. You gotta be here ready and pull it through the.
Start fresh every time.
I like it. Yeah, no way to cheat around. And amiga, moving on to some of the interesting. I mean, I'm not saying the robot is not interesting or the puzzles, but I am extremely curious lately on trying to help and promote more female girl lady, and
Mm.
I I don't know which one is a safe term, or like I don't want to insult anyone or be offensive, but woman representation in QA, in
Mhm.
IT, in performance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's extremely difficult. Could you share how has been your experience and how did you manage to get where you are today? Big role model, example, champion for everyone, ladies. And earlier we told interviewed Sarah, and she's like, Melissa's a champion.
Sarah's great. She's going places, big places.
We all are doing big bets on her, right?
Oh yeah, big bets on Sarah.
But enough, Sarah. What's up with Melissa?
Yeah, so I've had, it's been sometimes a bumpy road, sometimes a
Mhm.
difficult road, sometimes, great, huge successes, sometimes some less good things happen. Um, Generally speaking, I've had a lot of really great supportive people, and a lot of my best successes have come from the men in my industry or who I've known over the years who do a great job of saying, hey, Melissa can do this, I believe in you, I'm going to promote you to, not promotion in the sense of a new job title, but promotion to,
Like
hey, you can go speak at this
propelling you.
conference. Yeah, exactly. Putting your name forward in the rooms where your name needs to be heard.
Mm.
I wish I could say I had a lot of female mentors and help, but realistically, I have not not in the sense that they wouldn't help me, but in the sense that mostly they didn't exist.
There weren't that many.
Allison, who, of course is all-star all the time, has been amazing. And so she's my female boss lady idol. But I wish there had been more. So what I try to do now is to be the support and the promoter that I wish I had had.
Mm.
Right. I'm now, almost 20 years into my career. And I wish that I had somebody that I could look up to and say, yep, this is the woman engineer who I know, who I would like to be in 10 years.
It's very incredibly interesting to me to see. Earlier, I was mentioning that when I was in college long ago, the proportion was like less than 30% of women, at least in IT, in my computer science career.
Yeah.
And now I hear that it's a 3 to 7 proportion, not 1 to 9. And for what you're saying, like there were no role models before.
There was nobody
right?
there.
And I mean, you were. I'm guessing that was frustrating. How was the navigation through that? I mean, you get good support, but
it was very strange. I mean, when I graduated university, I was the only woman graduating with a computer science degree in my year.
Wow.
I had entered with others, but for one reason or another, right, the graduation was delayed. They went to a different major. I believe I was the only one. I don't remember if there was one other, but there certainly weren't more than two, and I think I was the only one. The other was in related, but not computer science. So, for a while, I really doubled down on this. Well, if there are no women, then I had internalized the message that you can't be a woman in software engineering. So I adopted a lot of male habits, male way of speaking, male way of dressing. Like I didn't wear any makeup. I wore t-shirt and jeans. I, took a lot of pride, and I'm just one of the guys, and we're going to have a beer, and I love whiskey, and yeah, we're going to all joke about women. And I had to, because that was all I saw around me, and there was no other women. So I felt like I had to pick up this persona in order to be successful. And it, sort of worked, but
shouldn't be the way.
It shouldn't be the way, and it wasn't really, who I was. And it worked for me until I ran into problems that were female specific.
Okay.
right? So as long as my problems or whatever challenge I was facing aligned with a challenge, a man would face, no issue, no problem. I never had a hiccup in my career. So I thought, I've solved it. I'm immune to the whatever issue of being a woman. And then I was pregnant with my first child, and all of a sudden I had problems that men didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Generally
No.
speaking,
I
cis
don't
men do not carry children, do not experience
have
pregnancy
known. I have
sickness.
not known any so far.
And so as soon as that happened, all of a sudden I found that coping solution, right, didn't work for me. I could not there's
There was
no
no way.
that you can't unite that. And so as I ran into difficulty, all of a sudden I had the way I had been relating to my managers and to my peers didn't work. And I found that the support for the problems I had just evaporated. So I don't, I don't like to get into details or rat hole, but I left. I have 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
I have left 2 jobs, either pregnant or within immediately returning from maternity leave.
No.
Yes. And of course, every situation is complex, but that's
No, but
the
we
facts
can,
on the ground.
yeah, we can see and that situations that definitely shouldn't have
Yes.
happened
I've
at
been
all. Like
pregnant twice and had to leave companies twice, either before or after
ouch.
having a child. So that's been the thing that really forced me to confront that. No, I have to. It's not enough to just be female but to otherwise adapt to how men work. I have to be my authentic self of who I am today, and I have to be in a place where it's safe to do that, and then I have to continue to make that safe for all the other women who are coming up after me. And if I can't solve the industry, but I can solve my company. And so that's my focus now is.
And gladly, you being the head and you being able to kind of dictate and indicate what is, because what you're describing, it's wrong, plainly wrong what was happening.
It is.
But it was normal.
And it didn't happen. It's not like an evil men, right? There were no horrific misogynists. No, there was nobody who said, "You're a woman, haha, I'm firing you." Right? It wasn't, nobody slapped my butt and said, go get me a coffee. And yet still
the system kind of
still happened.
Mm-hmm. Sadly, and it's part of a motto that I'm seeing, like systematic problems, not and I kept saying, like, there are some things trying to get into these topics. A few times I have been scolded. You should not be saying it this way. I'm like, I'm doing my best. I'm sorry, but all that cultural baggage that we have around it is tough. It
is. And my favorite thing is a man who will say to me, "I'm trying," and they'll ask me, what should I do? What's the right way? Is this okay? I had a manager come to me and said, "Hey, I'm hiring my first girl engineer. What should I do or not do on my teams?" And I love that he came and asked me. I was like, I'm so grateful that you came and talked to me. Here's first item number 1, which is don't call her a girl engineer, please. And because she's going to be hers director. I'm like, please don't refer to her as the girl.
Yeah.
Because she's a woman and you have hired an adult.
Yeah, it's something that when you said it that way, it made me think when we were kids and our parents would have issues and trouble and make up like there was nothing. You could tell, you could feel it, or even if you didn't notice, it influenced you. And calling her the girl engineer,
right, with his men, right? Because there was it was always men, the guys, the men, and then she was the girl. And that's he met super well, right? It's not an evil man. He met super well. He just didn't think it all the way through to the implications there of I got a team of a bunch of guys and a girl, right? Which is AKA I have a team of a bunch of men and this person that I'm referring to as a child.
We have a team, period. Why get into detail? Why kind of like shouldn't be even like a need, right? And there's from what you're saying, and I have been like mindful that along the way during your process in a career, especially in IT, male centric, blah blah blah, that there are difficulties all along the way. As you mentioned, I am slightly scandalized that you had to kind of not that I dislike whiskey, but have to get into whiskey, have to go and talk like like
Right, and nobody
probably,
told me that, but that was the only way I could see
and probably you were
to not be
mimicking
the other, right? I didn't want to be the other. I just wanted to be one of the team.
yeah, part of the family. It's human instinct to try to be accepted into the pack and be
Exactly.
similar. And if that is the only way, it's a sad way.
Right.
Shouldn't
There's no
be.
way I could make myself look like them, right? I look very female.
Hmm.
So the
But
best I could
shouldn't
do is
be.
try to camouflage.
Yeah, shouldn't be something that you have to do. And those are stumbles that happen after you are already in that path.
Right.
And one thing that I got extremely curious when you mentioned, and I feel is like the first problem, probably chronological order in the life
Mm-hmm.
of people, not saying that is the first that we need to fight, but the first one is that you decided to join a career that was IT science
Mm-hmm.
related, which is already outstanding. What made you, or why did you decide, or did you think you got into that field, being the only woman in the group? And
So I didn't know I was going to be the only woman. So I knew that, I had a lot of male friends as a kid. Like I had a very small group of friends. So, but some women, some men, we all did science. We all did math. Some of the smartest people in math I knew were women. So in high school, it was a pretty even mix. Not everybody's into computers, but they were into your general STEM areas. And I was always very good with computers. I didn't necessarily want to study computer science, but one day early in my senior year, my mom laid down, I wanted to do astronomy. She said, here is how much education you need to get a job in astronomy, and here's a starting salary. Here's how much education you need to get a job in computers, and here's a starting salary. And I said, oh, I don't like astronomy that much. But weirdly enough, it never occurred to me that I was going to be the only woman. I was going to be the only woman in my graduating class because growing up, I watched a lot of Star Trek, of all things.
cool.
And when I watched a lot of Voyager, they're all women,
Mm-hmm.
right? The head of engineering is a woman. The head of the starship is a woman, and she was a scientist. So it didn't occur to me, like in my instincts, right? Obviously, a woman can be these things because I watch it every Wednesday night on TV.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I got to probably my sophomore year, after a lot of women had dropped out, that I realized, oh, that's maybe not like TV. There's an awful lot of guys here and fewer women every day.
Whoa. It's mind blowing to me, and also something that has come up. And I had some ideas before I started these conversations and these interviews, where you had that influence from media, from TV,
Mm-hmm.
for to start off. It also surprises me a lot that as a girl you were watching Star Trek. That's another one where I'm like, how
My
did that
uncle used to
happen?
babysit me when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, and he loved Star Trek.
You
So
were
I
watching
grew
it
up
together.
watching The Next Generation every day, playing video games. So he was a
Whoa.
young college student. He was, 20, 21 years old. He liked Star Trek or computers. So from, 4 years old, he sat me on his lap and we played video games on his Commodore 64 and on his
Whoa.
Odyssey 2 and on his Amiga, and we watched Star Trek. And that's just what we did.
It's funny because some people may not agree with what I'm gonna say, but sounds like a beautiful childhood.
It was great. I mean, I was exposed to. My grandmother used to yell at him, "Stop, get her off the TV. Stop wasting her brain with the video games."
But
But
it's not
I
a
loved it. We
waste.
loved it. We did it together.
You're reaping the benefits of video games nowadays.
I
And
am. Who could have known in the 80s and 90s that was going to be the case, but
it's funny because that's another like segregation line that I like to break, or we have some preconceptions like
mhm.
video games, animated media, or things that princesses, because the title has a princess, is not for boys, you shouldn't watch it. Or because if it's muscle or blah, it's not for girls, you shouldn't watch it. It's animated, it's for just from this age below. And what if I'm 60 years old and I want to watch
Yeah,
animated
watch what you
princesses?
want.
And there shouldn't be those lines. Same with video games. We all know I may be biased, I'm into them, and there are benefits, hand-eye coordination, all those
Of
things that
course.
we have seen. I would agree or argue that probably that gave you a slightly a programmatic mindset.
Yeah, I
And
mean it was just an accident, but
A
I
beautiful
grew up playing
accident.
video games in a time when they were marketed really heavily to boys because my uncle didn't know what else to do with a 4-year-old little girl.
But I think that is awesome. It's a serendipitous moment that kind of started to take you into this path that brought you
Hmm.
here with us. And it's something that if you could start like fomenting or doing changes, what would you like to do to make that happen more often? Like more girls start in those careers and those with those interests, with those, if it's not Barbie or if it's not
It can be Barbie. Like I've seen great strides in American Girl dolls that are into science and that are into computers, and Barbie that's into it, and
Mhm.
the proliferation of media across the streaming platform.
I want a developer Barbie or something like that.
Yeah, my daughter. So I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she. Wait a minute, it would never occur to her that a woman couldn't be in engineering or couldn't do it, not just because of me, but because she watches Ada Twist Scientist and Polly Pocket the Scientist. And yeah, a lot of the
Really?
young girls' entertainment now is focused on, other stuff, but also the scientific method and experimentation and building and constructing. Yeah, I'm very impressed actually.
I've got to look into that because I was not aware that
Even if you didn't have a
Polly Pocket was
5 to
into
8
those
year old
type of
girl.
things.
Yeah, she was watching Polly Pocket, and I was like, "What is this garbage? Get this off of here!" And then I watched it. I'm like, "Wait, Polly Pocket is a scientist, and her friends are scientists, and they invented a shrink ray, and they solve their problems with chemistry."
Wow,
Yeah, I had no idea.
totally. Wow. Like blue screen again.
Right, I felt that way too. So don't worry.
Okay. No, it's amazing, and it's something that my first impression is like through media influences and things that one absorbs when you are
Hmm.
fresh and malleable and
Yeah,
moldable. That you are the sponge that they say,
they are a sponge.
and that you start absorbing things that will be helpful or not to give you those stereotypes or those.
Right. You start forming your stereotypes, your worldviews, the fundamental things that are going to inform you later. It's hard to override those
Yeah,
once it's set. It can be done. Right? Everybody can change and grow, but the first stereotypes and the first foundational worldview piece is really hard to override.
it's something like those. Is it a boy, a girl, or blue boots, pink boots, or those silly things? Even from those ages, it's like get green. I don't know what that means, or
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
hard. I dressed my girl only in blue, and she only wore science shirts until she was old enough to pick her clothes at
Cool.
age 3, when it immediately shifted into sparkles and pink. My boy, I can still convince to what he doesn't care what he wears. So he'll wear a pink shirt as often as a blue shirt
Cool.
because it's in his closet and I put it there. But yeah, I tried. I tried really hard.
It's funny because I have a very young sister, 13 years old, younger than me. And when she started really, really a baby, really, really small, three brothers, male brothers,
Hmm.
older, way older. And we were like, yeah, you're going to be like a wrestler. And we were helping her. We were
Sometimes you
rascals. And
get what you get.
yeah, I mean, poor of her. She had to grow up with the three of us. But as you say, you made me think of them. Suddenly she became sparkly and pinky and super
They
like.
are who they are, right? You can't always. Some things in children are inbuilt. Some things you can shape. Some things are somewhere in the middle.
But a line that I think it's awesome. Even she's still super pinky, super
Hmm.
princessy, all those things. But she started to find out that it was interesting business intelligence and
Yes.
to get what is a queer e. She was saying because her boss asked her to look into
Hmm.
it, and started to ask him like, "What is the deal with your queries?"
So cute.
Her boss is gay, and it was like, dude, you know what you're saying? No, what is this query thing? I'm like, okay, it's query, and you're saying something. What face does your boss make when you say that? He kind of laughs and gets angry. Why? But
Oh
it's
no.
cute and funny when those mixes, and she's like, what is an intersection, an inner table, outer table, can you help me? And
Oh.
she's so much into it. I'm glad to say, and you are being an awesome influence in your girls, in your family. Well, girl and boy, did
Yeah,
I
girl and
understand?
boy.
Um, both of them giving them wide umbrella to choose and do whatever they need, but also like, hey, sciencey Polly Pocket, and to have these influences, you need to switch colors. It's
Do it.
okay.
You wear what you want. It doesn't matter. You can wear whatever you want to wear, however you want to appear. Has no bearing on your ability to do a specific task, right? If you want to wear pink sparkles and nail polish, doesn't mean you can't solve algorithms. And if you want to wear nothing but beer shirts and have a black mohawk, you can also still do algorithms.
Those two things shouldn't be limiting what we do.
Yeah, they're not related. You shouldn't have to appear a certain way or present a certain way in order to do to do the job we do. It's not related.
Or vice versa, because you do a job, you don't have to look like this.
Exactly.
Exactly. Shouldn't be limited. Melissa, thank you so much for your perspectives. We're starting the ramp down of the show or this interview. But to close up, one last recommendation for our viewers on this wisdom, on this variety. What would you tell the world, the people you have a spectacular ad? What words would you put on it?
I think the words I would put on it would be communicate more, but listen even more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the saying? We have 2 ears and one mouth. So pay more attention and speak less.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It's no, I think it's
good to
valuable.
communicate clearly and express your ideas, but listen more.
Open ears, open mind.
Yes.
Everything. I love it. Okay. To close up, for anyone that would like to follow up and learn more of the lab or what you have been doing, where can people find you?
Yes, so I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, obviously with my name, Melissa Benua. I get a lot of sales pitches on LinkedIn. So Twitter, if you want to have an actual a quick conversation, is usually a better place. I am Queen of Code on Twitter.
Love it.
Pretty easy to find me there. Either of those two, great spots.
For any of you, if you have any trouble finding her on LinkedIn, I think I saw you have like stars or something in your.
There's a star in front of my name. Yeah, I do that so that I can find the automated mailings. Who's trying to just send me spam?
Oh, that's genius.
Because I can tell who put my name into a form when they send me,
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa, we think you'd like this job that we didn't read your job, just read your profile for it all. It shows Melissa with a star versus who hand wrote it.
Yeah.
Because there's no star.
I'm going to start copying that. I hope you don't mind, but it's a genius solution.
I'm sure eventually the algorithm will outpace my hack workaround, but until it does,
it'll filter emoticons. But then I will go back to the traditional semicolon parentheses. Happy
exactly. Exactly. Go break some tables.
Melissa, thank you so much for coming and for expanding this women in QA and Star East, Star West. I keep mixing them. Sorry. Set of sessions. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and for everything that you do around here. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me today, Leandro.
Awesome. Everybody, thank you very much for staying tuned. I don't know if we will be able to do one more session before we call it a day, but this is the last day of Star West 2022. Stay tuned because we are going to be giving away the PS5 in a few. So be ready and see you soon.